Chapter 21. Selling Wild Ginseng. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The basket was placed on the ground, and the contents could be easily seen. After seeing that it was just some mulberry leaves and ordinary herbs, the boss was obviously disappointed. It's just some mulberry leaves. These aren't worth much, and we are not short of them either. The other herbs are pitifully few and basically useless. Even other shops won't buy them, what more mine? Hearing the boss's words, Xia Chen and Xia Feng both looked disappointed. Xia Chen felt a little regretful. He had thought that he could sell it for some money and not let them go through the trouble of running here. He could have a nice meal in the county, and it would be even better if there was meat. Xia Wan smiled and took out the wild ginseng from the basket. She showed it to the owner. I'm not selling mulberry leaves. I'm selling wild ginseng. It's 50 years old and just dug. Please take a look, boss. The boss's eyes widened as he carefully took the wild ginseng. His previous contempt had disappeared, replaced with a serious look. Xia Chen and Xia Feng were also dumbfounded. Was there ginseng in this basket? Oh my God! How did Xia Wan find that? The more he looked at it, the more shocked the boss became. This wild ginseng was of very fine quality. It was authentic wild ginseng, with the roots and whiskers well preserved. Just by judging how it was dug out, it was obvious that the other party was an expert. The boss calmed down and turned to Xia Wan. Young lady, who dug this up? I did, boss. What do you think? Xia Wan smiled. Is it well preserved? The boss actually wanted to say that it wasn't just good. It was simply wonderful. However, he didn't believe Xia Wan and even stared at her suspiciously. You dug it. You're so young. How did you know how to dig for wild ginseng? Young lady, lying is not a good habit. Seeing that the boss didn't believe them, Xia Chen and Xia Feng were a little unhappy. Since Xia Wan said she found the ginseng, then it must be her. No one else in the family had the ability to do so. Xia Wan was not in a hurry and slowly explained, digging wild ginseng isn't that difficult. As long as you know its structure and be cautious when you dig, you can just get it out slowly with your hands. I didn't bring any tools with me at that time, so I only used my hands. As she spoke, she showed her hands to the boss. The skin under her nails was slightly purple and swollen. Seeing this, Xia Chen and Xia Feng both felt sorry for her. Wan, let me do such damaging things in the future. You're a girl. You have to protect your hands, Xia Chen couldn't help but comment. Xia Wan looked at Xia Chen and comforted him. It's okay, brother. I wasn't prepared this time. Finding the wild ginseng was purely an accident. I'll bring more things up the mountain in the future. That she had only wanted some mulberry leaves and had not expected to find ginseng. When compared to getting the ginseng, however, the small injuries on her fingers were nothing. The boss saw that the two of them didn't seem to be lying when they spoke, so he was half convinced. However, it was ginseng after all, and the price wasn't low. He still had to check it carefully. So, he relented a little. Let me check first. Okay, no problem, Xia Wan said with a smile. About 5 minutes later, the boss finished the examination. Xia Wan knew that it was time to bargain. The boss put on a very serious expression and began to bid. Here's the thing, girl. Your wild ginseng is indeed 50 years old, and there's no problem with its origin. How about this? I'll give you 3,000 yuan. 3,000, Xia Chen and Xia Feng's mouths dropped wide open in disbelief. Oh my God, wild ginseng that actually sold for 3,000 yuan. It was their entire family's annual income. At that time, Xia Chen and Xia Feng were 20 and 13 years old, respectively. 3,000 yuan was a huge sum of money to them. Even if it was 300 or 30 yuan, they would be happy for a long time, let alone 3,000 yuan. However, the boss had said it himself. It was 3,000 yuan. Seeing Xia Chen and Xia Feng's shock, the owner couldn't help but wonder if the price he gave was a little too high. He looked at the two silly boys, who obviously knew nothing about how much ginseng was worth. Chapter 22. The Powerful Xia Wan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xia Wan smiled and said to the boss, although this is my first time here selling ginseng, I've already asked around in other pharmacies. The price of 50-year-old wild ginseng fluctuates around 5,000 yuan. I know that you have a good reputation and your store is big. I believe we can have a long-term cooperation in the future, so I came directly to your store. Boss, don't take advantage of me. This ginseng is 5,000 yuan. It will save us a lot of trouble. You should know how hard it is to find 50-year-old wild ginseng. I just had a little luck and managed to come across it. Hearing Xia Wan's words, the boss smiled bitterly. He didn't expect this girl to be so good. The price she mentioned was exactly the bottom line he was thinking of. From the girl's calm expression, she seemed to be experienced. The boss believed that since she could find 50-year-old wild ginseng, she might just be able to find other precious herbs in the future. Moreover, the way she dug up the ginseng showed that there was an 80% chance that this girl's family had an elder who knew medicine. If he could work with this girl for a long time, it might just grant him an extra supplier. Thinking of this, the boss sighed and said, "All right, 5,000 it is. Wait, I'll get you the money." Soon, the boss counted 5,100 yuan bills and handed them to Xia Wan. "Count them, girl. See if it's right." Xia Wan unabashedly counted the money in front of the owner. This was also a rule of doing business. Settle the score in person, so as not to come back for it in the future. The boss realized that although this girl was young, her words and actions showed she was serious. Boss, the amount is right." Xia Wan smiled after she counted the money. "We'll be leaving now." "What's your name, girl?" the boss called out. "I'm Zhou Tian. You can come to me if you have any good stuff in the future. I'll definitely give you a good price." Xia Wan smiled and replied politely, "My name is Xia Wan." "Okay, Uncle Zhou. I got it. If I have any good medicinal herbs, I will come to you immediately." Suddenly, Xia Wan thought of something. She handed Zhou Tian a red note. "Uncle Zhou, can I trouble you to break this into small change? The three of us are just kids, and if we go out with a 100 yuan bill, people will think that we stole from our family." "All right," Zhou Tian nodded. Originally, each note was worth 100 yuan, but Zhou Tian changed them into a 50 yuan note, a 20 yuan note, and a 10 yuan note. The remaining 6 were 1 yuan notes, and the remaining 4 yuan notes were changed into a pile of coins. With the money in her hands, Xia Wan said gratefully, "Thank you, Uncle Zhou." After bidding farewell to Zhou Tian, the siblings walked out of the restaurant. Xia Chen and Xia Feng still couldn't react. Xia Wan knew that they were in a complicated mood, so she led them to a quiet corner and explained, "Don't tell anyone about this. If Grandma finds out, we won't be able to keep the money." Xia Chen nodded. "Don't worry, Wan. We won't tell anyone. But where did you get that wild ginseng? How did you know it could be sold for so much?" Xia Chen realized that his sister seemed to have changed a lot. She was more mature and sensible than before. Xia Wan appeared to know a lot of things that even he didn't. Although Xia Feng said nothing, he was actually very curious. 2 pairs of eyes were fixed on Xia Wan. Xia Wan knew that the two had noticed her changes, so she sighed and said, "I had a dream. In my dream, our family was very miserable. It was all because Dad was too soft-hearted and Grandma was too prejudiced. Our family was too honest and never thought of taking advantage of others. But the human heart is the most complicated thing in this world. You might not take advantage of others, but that doesn't mean others would leave you alone. We don't harm others, but we must be vigilant and give no one the chance to harm us. Seeing that Xia Wan was serious, Xia Chen and Xia Feng listened intently. Don't worry, Xia Chen said. As your brother, I'll protect you. I'll protect this family, Xia Feng said in a low voice, not you. Chapter 23. Fragrant Beef Noodles. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xia Wan knew that Xia Feng was only saying it. If something really happened to her, Xia Feng would definitely not leave her alone. It was just that Xia Feng still had a knot in his heart about what had happened in the past. However, children were always easy to coax. Alright, let's go eat now. Do you guys want to have beef noodles? She asked with a smile. Xia Chen couldn't help but drool when he heard this. In the past, the meat at home was all fought over by Xia Yu, and they couldn't get it at all. Now, he could eat a bowl of beef noodles with all the meat in it. Just thinking about it excited Xia Chen. He nodded repeatedly. I want it. You're so rich now anyway, Xia Feng said arrogantly. Let's eat. He couldn't help but swallow his saliva as well. Meat, he hadn't had it in a long time. The moment the three arrived at the restaurant, their noses were assaulted with the powerful aroma of beef noodles. Its fragrance, together with a tinge of spiciness, made them drool uncontrollably. Xia Chen and Xia Feng couldn't help but gawk at the restaurant's hungry patrons. Everyone was eating with big mouthfuls, and their faces were filled with satisfaction. It was obvious that the beef noodles in this restaurant were very good. Xia Wan picked a seat and sat down. Xia Chen and Xia Feng quickly followed to sit on her left and right. A shop assistant saw that it was three children and they were wearing old clothes. His eyes were filled with doubt, but he still asked, Are you three here for beef noodles? How many bowls do you want? From the waiter's point of view, the three only needed one bowl. It didn't even look like they could afford it. Xia Wan was displeased with the shop assistant's attitude. She was now a rich woman with 5,000 yuan in her pocket. She immediately raised her voice and said, 3 bowls of beef noodles. Please put more meat in it, thank you. She knew this restaurant. It cost 1 yuan a bowl, and the meat was abundant. She took out 3 1-yuan notes and placed them on the table. The shop assistant's expression immediately changed. He took the money with a smile and said, All right, I'll prepare them for you. Xia Chen felt a little guilty the moment he saw Xia Wan take out 3 yuan. 1 yuan for a bowl of beef noodles would be enough to bear their family's living expenses for a day. After the man left, Xia Chen asked nervously, Wan, should we just cancel our orders? The noodles are way too expensive. We can still leave before they're ready. Hearing Xia Chen's words, Xia Feng also said, Yeah, we don't feel like eating anymore. It's too expensive, and beef noodles aren't that delicious anyway. Though he had said that, Xia Feng still couldn't help but gulp when he smelled the fragrance in the air. Xia Wan smiled. You guys can eat in peace. I earn so our family can live a good life. If I only earn and don't spend, then what is this money for? Do you want to put it in my coffin after I die? After that, Xia Wan didn't care what the two people thought and asked directly, Do you want soy milk? If the beef noodles are too spicy, drink a cup of soy milk, and it'll suppress the spiciness. This time, Xia Chen and Xia Feng both shook their heads. No, it's a waste of money. Okay, I'll go buy it for you now. Xia Wan immediately stood up. By the time Xia Chen and Xia Feng reacted, Xia Wan had already gone out. They wanted to pull Xia Wan back, but they were afraid that after they left, the waiter would serve the beef noodles to someone else. Hence, the two sat carefully in their seats, not daring to leave. Soon, Xia Wan came back with the soy milk. Seeing Xia Chen and Xia Feng's nervous expressions, she placed a cup in front of each of them and explained, Don't worry. It was cheap. 20 cents a cup. Before this, they would have considered a 20-cent cup of soy milk to be very expensive. Now, when compared with a bowl of beef noodles that cost 1 yuan, soy milk seemed very affordable. The two brothers knew that they could not persuade Xia Wan, so they didn't say anything more. When the beef noodles were served, the two brothers just looked at it without moving their chopsticks. Seeing this, Xia Wan deliberately said with a straight face, "If you guys aren't eating, I'm not eating either. You know that I'm not in good health. I fell into the water, and if I don't eat my fill, I'll definitely get sick." After being threatened by Xia Wan, the two boys picked up their chopsticks and immediately dug in. Seeing that they had started eating, Xia Wan followed suit with a smile. Chapter 24. Their hearts ache for their parents. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The steamed buns they usually had in the morning were as rough as they were hard, and it would hurt their throats. Now, though, smooth noodles were in her stomach, accompanied by warm, spicy soup. It was so delicious that Xia Wan almost bit her tongue. After finishing the noodles, she even finished the soup. When she looked at the two brothers, she found that they had only eaten the noodles, but left the meat alone. "Why didn't you eat the meat?" Xia Wan looked at them in confusion. Beef noodles, of course, were meant to be eaten with beef. They usually didn't even get to eat meat. It couldn't be that they disliked the meat in the noodles, right? "Mom and Dad work hard every day," Xia Chen explained. "We want to save the meat for them." Xia Feng nodded in agreement. Xia Wan's heart ached when she heard this. She thought of her parents, who worked hard every day, and her eyes turned red. Li Jin only bought meat during festivals every year. He didn't buy much each time, and most of it went to his first and second uncles' families. Xia Hai was an honest man, so his family didn't like to snatch away his share. The meat that was given to his family, however, would always be taken away by the other two families. Every year, the number of times the family could eat meat could be counted on one hand. Now that they had the chance to eat a big bowl of meat, Xia Chen and Xia Feng were not used to it. Xia Wan understood why, but the more she understood, the more her heart ached. She took a deep breath, adjusted her mood, and said to the two, "You guys should finish this. If we bring it back, it'll go bad before Mom and Dad can eat it. Besides, this meat is some strong-smelling stuff. You know how voracious Xia Yu is. If he catches a whiff, our parents can forget about having a bite. Don't worry, I'm rich now. I'll definitely let Mom and Dad have meat to eat." Hearing Xia Wan's words, Xia Chen and Xia Feng finally finished the meat in their bowls. After eating, Xia Chen reminded her, "Wan, you found this ginseng, so its proceeds are naturally all yours. However, don't be spendthrift just because you have a bit of money. There will be many places where you might need it, which is why you should save it." Xia Wan knew that her brother advised her out of kindness, so she nodded. "Brother, don't worry. I have a plan. I won't waste the money." Xia Wan then looked at Xia Feng and stared into his eyes. "Xia Feng, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have ignored you for the sake of my reputation and let those people laugh at you. You did it for my sake, but I still treated you like that. I was wrong. Will you forgive me? I promise that I will never be vain again. I will live my life in peace. You will always be my cutest and smartest little brother." Xia Feng didn't expect Xia Wan to tell him this. He was both touched and embarrassed. When he first arrived at the noodle restaurant, Xia Feng felt awkward and uncomfortable. The last time his sister brought her classmates to the restaurant, he happened to deliver food to them and was looked down upon by his sister's classmates. They were also having a meal now, but the waiter from before also looked down on the three of them. However, when his sister took out the 3 yuan just now, he instantly changed his attitude. Now, his sister was apologizing to him. Xia Feng's eyes reddened at the thought. Xia Wan reached out and rubbed Xia Feng's head, her voice exceptionally gentle. My good little brother, I will definitely protect you in the future. I will teach a hard lesson to whoever dares to laugh at you and let them know that my little brother is the best brother in the world. Xia Feng sniffled and slapped Xia Wan's hand away. Who needs your protection? I'm strong enough. Although he said that, his tone was much more contrived than before. Xia Wan smiled. She knew that her brother must be feeling shy. Alright, let's go home quickly after you're done eating. Mom and Dad will be worried if we're late. Xia Feng said as he rose to his feet. Xia Chen smiled. He was happy to see Xia Wan and Xia Feng making up with each other. They were all bounded by blood, after all, and were of the same parents. Previously, when the two of them had a conflict, he was worried, but he couldn't change anything. Now, Xia Feng seemed to have forgiven Wan. After the three left, Xia Ru and her family ate at a noodle stall not far away. Xia Ru's sharp eyes spotted the three siblings and couldn't help but them. After confirming that they were the siblings, she stood up in shock. Meanwhile, Song Yan was eating soup noodles with an egg in them. In her eyes, it was already considered a fine meal. She almost buried her whole face in the bowl and slurped the noodles in big mouthfuls. Xia Jiang looked better when she ate than Song Yan, but she was too focused on eating her noodles to care about anything else. Chapter 25. Seen by Xia Jiang's family. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 25. Seen by Xia Jiang's family. Mom, I just saw Xia Wan and her siblings. They actually came out of a beef restaurant. Where on earth did they get the money to eat beef noodles? As Xia Ru spoke to Song Yan, she couldn't help but shake Song Yan's arm. Song Yan stuck her face out of the bowl and immediately denied it. Impossible. How can the three have any money to eat beef noodles? Are you seeing things? Seeing that Song Yan did not believe her, Xia Ru became a little anxious. Mom, I grew up with them. How could I be wrong? I just saw them. It really was the three of them, wearing the same clothes as yesterday. Song Yan knew that her daughter had good eyes, and now that she said it so confidently, she was sure that it must be true. It made Song Yan furious. Xia Hai's family sure knows how to spend. They even said that they wanted to treat Xia Wan's illness with their salary. Yesterday, Yan Han used the money to buy eggs, and today, the three went to eat beef noodles. They're not using their salary to treat Xia Wan's illness, they're clearly looking for an excuse not to pay their share so that they can keep it for themselves to spend. Xia Ru had been working in the county for the past few days, so she didn't know what had happened yesterday. The family had gone out for noodles today, so Song Yan and the others didn't have time to tell her. Mother, what's going on? Xia Ru asked. Song Yan told Xia Ru about the argument between Xia Yu and Xia Wan, as well as the reason why Xia Hai did not hand in his salary. Xia Ru also felt angry after hearing this and couldn't help but say, Mom, third uncle's family is so smart now. They've even learned a new excuse not to part with their salary. Hence, the three children in their family can now afford beef noodles. If we don't pay our salary, we can also afford beef noodles ourselves. Then, she looked at Song Yan's face with some disdain. One bowl of beef noodles is with 3 bowls of our noodles. Hearing Xia Ru's words, Song Yan got even angrier. She glared at Xia Jiang and said, It's all your fault. Why did you take the initiative to pay your share yesterday? If you paid later, Xia Hai would have started it. If our family didn't pay, Mother wouldn't have been able to say anything. The more she thought about it, the angrier she became. That's not right. Xia Wan was coughing her lungs out yesterday, and she's fine now. Xia Ru, did you get a good look? How was Xia Wan's health? Are you coughing? Of course, I'm not. I look very healthy, Xia Ru said unwillingly with eyes filled with jealousy. In her opinion, Xia Wan had pretended to be sick to deceive Li Jin and keep her family's salary. On the other side, Xia Wan and the other two were walking slowly. With the money in her pocket, she wanted to buy some nutritious food for her parents, so she went to the cheaper market and bought some dried beef and pork. The smell of the meat was relatively mild, so Xia Yu wouldn't find out even if she took it home. Nonetheless, Xia Wan couldn't help but worry. Bvec, it was clearly their own money, and they were using it to buy meat. Now, they were like thieves, sneakily trying to prevent Xia Yu from eating it. These were really tough days. She couldn't help but complain. I really want to part with the family now. I can't live like this. Xia Chen was stunned, and his expression became serious. Wan, do you really want to move out? When Xia Wan told him yesterday, he thought she was just angry. Looking at Xia Wan's expression, she was obviously serious. Xia Wan nodded. Of course. Now that we're all living together, we can't even eat anything good. We have to give it to eldest uncle and second uncle's family, and grandma won't let us eat. If we move out, we can make our own money. How wonderful would that be? She blinked and looked at Xia Chen and Xia Feng curiously. Don't you want to? Xia Chen was a little hesitant. Of course, it was good to move out, but no one in the village had ever moved out before. If their family became the first, the villagers would definitely start rumors that something must have happened to their family. These were certainly not the best of times. Xia Feng understood Xia Chen's concern, so he just pursed his lips and didn't say anything. Xia Wan could see the wavering in the brothers' eyes. Obviously, they also wanted to split the family. She had felt the need to tell them so that they could be prepared to move out. Chapter 26. We have to prepare to split up. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's like this. It's inevitable that we'll split up. I think we should set that as our goal now and work hard to earn money. Hearing Xia Wan's words, Xia Chen sighed helplessly. Wan, I want to make money too. I've been looking for work these days, but everyone's fighting to do jobs that make a lot. I don't stand a chance at all. Some jobs don't make much money after a busy day, and no one is doing it. If we move out, we won't have a place to live. Besides, when you and Xia Feng start school, there are the school fees, your living expenses, and new clothes to think about. All these require money. We only have Dad's 300 yuan salary this month. It's not enough at all. Even if I find a job now, I'll have to wait until next month to get my salary. I know, Xia Wan continued, don't you still have the 5,000 yuan from the ginseng sale? We know you have 5,000 yuan, Xia Chen said. But you can't show it to the public, especially not before the separation. When we move out, you can make whatever arrangement you want with that money you have. But since we haven't, Grandma definitely won't agree. She might even be waiting to laugh at us. If we pull out 5,000 yuan out of thin air, she'll definitely suspect we did something. Hearing Xia Chen's words, Xia Wan's eyes lit up with a smile, and she praised, my brother is so thoughtful. At the same time, Xia Wan felt a warmth in her heart. Xia Chen was thinking of using the money he and Xia Hai earned to complete the money needed for the separation of the family. This was so that the fact that she was earning wouldn't be exposed. She was lucky to have such a brother who would protect her. Yingluo was no longer a child, however, and she had her own ways. Don't worry, brother, Xia Wan consoled. Since I said so, I'll definitely make arrangements. Didn't I say it before? I've learned medicine from Grandpa, and our village is short of doctors. When the time comes, I'll use my medical skills and sell some herbs to earn. Grandma won't be able to say anything. As long as I keep going into the mountains and keep busy, even if Grandma sees that I've earned money, she'll be too embarrassed to ask me for it. After all, it's all my hard-earned money. Xia Feng stared at the confident Xia Wan. He felt that his sister seemed to have really changed. If it was his sister in the past, she definitely wouldn't have been so firm and resolute, especially when she knew that they would face insurmountable difficulties in separating from the family. In the past, his sister cared a lot about the opinions of others, and moving out would obviously cause their family to be criticized. Now though, his sister wasn't afraid anymore. She even took the initiative to find a way to hide it from Li Jin. Xia Feng couldn't help but admire his intelligent and bold sister. His sister was indeed the strongest woman out there. But, Xia Chen suddenly chimed in. Wan, Dad won't agree. With one sentence, the previous atmosphere was immediately shattered. Xia Feng's mood also sank. Xia Wan recalled some of her memories from her previous life. Soon, her dad would be disappointed in her grandma. She smiled and comforted the brothers. Don't worry, I believe that Dad will change. We'll just do what we have to do. Seeing Xia Wan smile, the brothers felt much better, and they stopped thinking about it. Anyway, today was a happy day. She made money, ate beef noodles, and even bought meat for her parents. They were already looking forward to going home to see how happy their parents were. The three trundled along in a good mood, and the journey home felt much lighter than when they left. When they returned to the village, Xia Wan saw a familiar figure buying things at the small store. She sneered. He had returned so quickly. Chapter 27. Li Jin framed for stealing money. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing Xia Wan looking at the snack bar, Xia Chen thought she wanted some, so he asked, Wan, do you want to buy some snacks? Xia Wan shook her head. No, I thought I saw Xia Yu just now. Didn't he go to the hospital yesterday? He didn't come back the whole night. I thought it was serious. I didn't expect to be able to go to the grocery store to buy food so soon. It didn't seem that bad. Xia Chen nodded. He eats a lot, so he's recovering quickly. Wan, you've walked such a long way today. Take a nap when you get back. Don't tire yourself. Knowing that Xia Chen was concerned about her, Xia Wan nodded and smiled sweetly. When she got home, Xia Wan looked around vigilantly. After making sure that there was nobody from her first and second uncle's families around, she hid the pork, beef jerky, and some delicious dried fruits that she had bought in the county on the pillars of the roof. The location was high and hidden, and after thinking for a bit, Xia Wan decided to hide the money there. Being rather light, and with the cabinets in the house stacked high, she could reach the beam by stepping on the cabinet with the help of the bench. She also didn't want to arouse the suspicion of the other two families by climbing up the beam with a ladder. This was the safest place where Xia Wan could hide her things. After she was done with everything, she waited for Xia Hai and Yan Han's return. However, it was then that a discordant voice could be heard. Li Jin was shouting loudly. Before he even entered the house, his loud voice was audible. Xia Chen, Xia Wan, Xia Feng. You three scoundrels, get out here. You're really bold. You actually dared to steal my money. Today, I'm going to beat up you three monkeys. The door was closed, and Li Jin couldn't enter, so she began banging on it. The three people in the room looked at each other, their eyes filled with confusion. Xia Wan thought of Xia Yu, who she had met before, and came to a conclusion. Xia Feng pursed his lips and said in a slightly aggrieved tone, We didn't steal any money. Why didn't you ask us nicely? Why did you have to accuse us? Xia Chen sighed and comforted him. Grandma is biased. You'll get used to it. In her eyes, the three of us are the worst children in the family. Xia Wan looked at the two of them, her eyes full of encouragement. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. I won't let Grandma implicate us. Xia Wan walked towards the door and was about to open it, but Li Jin was slamming the door so hard that she could feel the door shaking violently even from a distance. Are you going to pin the blame on us without investigating? She thought to herself as her eyes turned cold. She suddenly opened the door. Li Jin, who was about to kick the door, lifted his foot and fell to the ground. Xia Wan pretended to be surprised and asked with concern, "Are you alright, Grandma? I saw that you were knocking on the door in a hurry, so I wanted to open it quickly for you." "Grandma, you just... Were you about to kick the door?" Xia He and Xia Yi, who were behind Li Jin, quickly helped her up. Xia Yi acted like an obedient girl and asked, "Grandma, are you okay?" Then, she looked at Xia Wan and complained, "Wan, you're really wrong. Even if Grandma knocked on the door in a hurry, she's still your grandma. How could you be so stubborn?" Xia Wan interrupted her before she could finish. "Sister, I don't understand what you mean," she said with a look of confusion. "I'd already said that I heard Grandma banging on the door, so I quickly went to open it. Did you think that I anticipated that Grandma was going to kick the door down, and I opened it quickly to make her fall?" With tears in her eyes, she said with a wronged look, "Sis, how could you say that about me? And Grandma, why did you say that we stole? When did we do such a thing?" Xia Wan lowered her head slightly to hide the hatred in her eyes. Being calm in her previous life, it was Xia Yi who plotted to snatch her marriage away. So be it if she stole it away, but she still tried her best to oppress their family, thereby causing the death of her parents. She had no choice but to settle the score with Xia Yi. In this life, she wanted Xia Yi to live for a long time in pain. She didn't even have the right to die. Putting away the hatred in her heart, Xia Wan still put on a pitiful look. Chapter 28. Li Jin wants tenfold the compensation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xia Yi frowned as she watched. She felt that Xia Wan seemed to have changed. In the past, Xia Wan would always speak up whenever she encountered something. Even if she was wronged, she would not cry. Instead, she would shout that Li Jin was being unfair. However, no one would sympathize with her. Instead, they would think that Li Jin was right to teach Xia Wan a lesson. In their eyes, she was being unfilial and insensible. But now that Xia Wan was crying, it was as if Li Jin was the one in the wrong. At this time, Li Jin finally stood firm, but her body was still staggering. He looked at Xia Wan with anger in her eyes. "You brat, you actually dared to attack your grandmother. I'll teach you a lesson today." As she spoke, she raised her hand, as if she was going to hit Xia Wan. Seeing this, Xia Chen and Xia Feng subconsciously stood in front of Xia Wan to prevent Li Jin from touching her. "Mother, what are you doing?" At this moment, a voice rang out. It was Yan Han, who had just returned from outside. Long before she entered the house, she heard Li Jin's yelling. Just now, Yan Han's heart ached when she saw that Li Jin was going to hit Xia Wan. She stood in front of Xia Wan and said to Li Jin, "Mother, if you have something to say, just say it. Why do you have to fight?" Li Jin laughed coldly and reached out to twist Yan Han's ear. "You're in no place to interrupt me when I'm talking. You've got some guts." "Ah, mother, it hurts." Yan Han had been twisted suddenly, and the pain in her ear made her cry out subconsciously. Seeing Yan Han's ear being pulled, Xia Wan couldn't be bothered to act pitiful anymore. She directly shouted at Li Jin. "Let go of my mother." Xia Wan's sudden sternness startled Li Jin, and she subconsciously let go of Yan Han's ear. She had never seen such a terrifying side of Xia Wan. The way she stared at her was as if she was about to tear Li Jin apart. Xia Yi, who was the closest to Xia Wan, was even more shocked. If she had only suspected that Xia Wan had changed before, now that she saw the look in Xia Wan's eyes, she was even more certain that Xia Wan had grown up and was much more scheming than before. Such a change wasn't necessarily a good thing. In the past, Xia Wan was so naive that she usually took the blame for a lot of things, wanting to avoid any trouble. By the time Li Jin returned to her senses, she had already let go of Yan Han and felt a little embarrassed. Xia Wan was just a little girl. Why would she be afraid of her? Although she felt that something was wrong, her body was subconsciously afraid just now. When Xia Wan saw Li Jin let go of Yan Han, she also retracted her frightening gaze. She then stared at Li Jin seriously and said word by word, "I'll only say it once. We didn't steal your money." Although Li Jin's imposing manner had weakened, he still shouted, "If you didn't steal the money, then who did? I heard that you three went to the county to eat beef noodles. Even I feel it's expensive. I've never eaten beef noodles before, but you three actually had it. If it wasn't you who stole the money, what else could it be? I just happened to lose 10 yuan, and you guys went for beef noodles. You must have stolen it." In fact, Li Jin didn't have enough evidence to prove that the three were the thieves, but it was a fact that her money was gone. Undoubtedly, immediately pinned the blame on the three of them. Looking at Xia Chen and Xia Feng, who were protecting Xia Wan, Li Jin felt more and more annoyed. Although Xia Chen and Xia Feng were also her grandsons, she really couldn't bring herself to like them. Xia Chen always looked depressed in front of her. He didn't speak much and kept everything to himself, just like his father, Xia Hai. Of her three sons, Xia Hai was the one she cared the least about. Naturally, she disliked her grandson, who looked like Xia Hai, even more. As for Xia Feng, he was quite talkative at such a young age. Sometimes, when Xia Yu ate Xia Wan's meat, he would make a fuss, saying that it was Xia Wan's meat and that he wouldn't let Xia Yu eat it. What a joke. Xia Wan was just a little girl. She would be married off sooner or later and become the problem of another person. What right did he have to eat their meat now? The meat in their house should be given to their sons and grandsons. As for her granddaughters, if they were like Xia Ru and Xia Yi, they would have been obedient, studied hard, and make her happy and proud. If they ate meat, then so be it. If they married well in the future, they could help the family. But Xia Wan. She couldn't see what greatness Xia Wan held in store. The more she thought about it, the angrier Li Jin became. She snapped unabashedly, "You stole 10 yuan from me. I have to teach you a lesson. Call your father, Xia Hai, over. I want him to pay 10 times the amount you stole." Chapter 29. I know who stole the money. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yan Han's eyes were filled with bitterness when she heard this. "Mother, Wan Wan has said that she didn't steal the money. How could you just ask us to pay for it? And 10 times the amount. That's 100 yuan. Xia Wan sneered. This old woman was indeed a good schemer. She had not received her father's salary, so she was now vying to get it back. She said he wanted 10 times the compensation, but all she really did want was the money. Discounting the fact that she didn't steal the 10 yuan, she now felt that even if Li Jin knew that the three of them didn't steal it, she would still blame it on them. To think that she could be so shameless at her age. As the eldest child in the family, Xia Chen stood up and told Li Jin gravely, "Grandma, we didn't steal your money. We swear it." Li Jin sneered, "Swear? If you didn't steal my money, then where did you three get the money for beef noodles? Don't tell me Xia Hai gave it to you. I know my son well. He would never let you eat beef noodles." Hearing this, Xia Chen said, "I earned the money. I've been looking for a job, but I couldn't find a permanent one, so I took some part-time ones. I helped the people on the dock move goods every day and calculated the money. It just so happened that I got paid today, so I invited my brother and sister to dinner. They couldn't let Li Jin find out that Xia Wan was selling ginseng, or she would lose that large sum of money. That was why Xia Chen chose to step forward and take the blame. As an older brother, he felt that this was what he should do." Xia Wan heard Xia Chen's words and felt touched. Her brother was so thoughtful and warm. There was a tacit understanding between the siblings. Xia Wan also knew that it was inappropriate for her to reveal too much of herself at this time. To Xia Chen's surprise, Li Jin became even angrier when she heard this. She looked at him with hatred. That's great. When I had money, I would give it to you. I would give you pocket money every month and even pay for your education. Now that you're earning your own, you don't even want to give it to me. I've never had beef noodles before, and you three went to have it yourselves. How did I, Li Jin, raise such an unfilial grandson? Xia Chen didn't dare to say too much. He just kept silent and let Li Jin scold him. He just wanted to gloss over this matter. As long as Li Jin believed that he earned the money and not they stole it, nothing else was important. However, after Li Jin finished her scolding, she still didn't believe him and insisted that the money had been stolen by the three of them. Xia Wan had heard enough of Li Jin's scolding and said coldly, "Didn't Grandma want to know who stole your money?" "You don't know, but I do. I'll take you there, and you'll see who stole your money." Hearing Xia Wan's words, Li Jin was stunned. "You know who stole my money?" Li Jin asked subconsciously, feeling a little uneasy. Xia Wan nodded and chuckled, but her smile was filled with ridicule, "Of course. It's just a simple act. As long as it's done, there will be traces. If you use your brain, there's nothing you can't find." As she spoke, Xia Wan walked out. She turned around and saw that Li Jin didn't follow her. She deliberately provoked him, "What's wrong? Is Grandma afraid to go?" Li Jin made up her mind and followed Xia Wan out, shouting, "Fine, I'll go. Do you think I'm afraid of you?" Xia Yi and Xia He was one step behind, but they quickly followed suit. On the way, Li Jin's mouth was not idle. She asked Xia Wan, "You know who stole my money? How did you know?" Xia Wan said she should have used her brain. What did that mean? Was she saying that she didn't have a brain? "Grandma, do you really want to know?" Xia Wan looked at Li Jin. "Of course." Li Jin snorted. "Okay, then let me ask you. When you went to the hospital with Xia Yu's family yesterday, did you bring all the money with you?" "Of course. I was going to see Xia Yu. I had to bring enough," Li Jin said. In actual fact, she was worried that if she left the money at home, the others would steal it. Chapter 30. Catching Xia Yu red-handed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xia Wan smiled. "That's right. Since you went to the hospital yesterday, I've only just met you. I didn't have the chance to steal your money. The only ones who had the chance to steal money were those who were with you yesterday. That is, Xia Yu's family." Hearing Xia Wan's conclusion, Li Jin immediately retorted, "You're talking nonsense. Xia Yu is so obedient. How could she steal my money? You must be talking nonsense." Xia Yi and Xia He were also a little flustered, and they quickly explained, "We didn't steal any money." "Xia Wan, don't talk nonsense." Xia Wan didn't even look at them and asked Li Jin, "Then, Grandma, was the 10 yuan note that you threw away a 10 yuan note or small change?" Under Xia Wan's intense gaze, Li Jin subconsciously told the truth. 2 5-yuan notes. "All right," she said. Xia Wan agreed and didn't say anything else. Very soon, they arrived at the convenience store. Xia Yu had brought a few of his friends and was eating crispy noodle snacks at the store entrance and had lollipops in his pocket. He was drooling. Furthermore, Xia Yu was fat, to begin with, so he looked like a pig that was scouring for vegetables. Li Jin saw Xia Yu eating and immediately walked over. "Xia Yu, eat slowly. No one's snatching it from you. You're injured, and your body is weak, so you really should eat more." She then looked at Xia Yu's friends with a loving look in her eyes. She smiled and said, "Did you guys treat Xia Yu to a meal because you knew he was sick?" The few kids looked at each other and nodded in tacit agreement. Xia Yu, on the other hand, was panicking. One of his arms was bandaged, and he looked a little disheveled. Thus, seeing that many people had gathered behind Li Jin, Xia Yu's intuition told her that something was wrong. Xia Wan chuckled and directly asked the boss of the small shop. Boss, who paid for the snacks just now? The boss, Wang Ju, smiled. Of course, it's Xia Yu. This child is very generous. He bought a lot of snacks for his friends. How much did he pay? Xia Wan asked again. 2 5-yuan notes, Wang Ju said. I even gave him 3 yuan of change. Xia Yu panicked. His face turned pale, and he subconsciously tried to hide. Li Jin's smile disappeared, and he grabbed Xia Yu, feeling both angry and anxious. She slapped Xia Yu's back. You little brat. Grandma's been so nice to you, but you actually dared to steal my money. Have I spoilt you too much? You actually dare to steal my money. Although Li Jin was old, she had been working for a long time and had a lot of strength. In addition, Xia Yu was injured and couldn't move at all, so Xia Yu couldn't dodge at all. Xia Wan just stood there coldly. Though the misunderstanding had been resolved, she didn't seem to be happy. Li Jin secretly hated Xia Yu for being such a disappointment. Not only did she steal the money, but she also caused her to lose face in front of Xia Wan. After all, she had previously insisted that Xia Wan and her 2 brothers were the ones who stole the money. The truth was out, and the thief turned out not to be the 3 grandchildren she disliked, but her most valued grandson, Xia Yu. This enraged Li Jin, and her attacks became much more ruthless. Normally, even if Xia Yu had stolen money, she wouldn't have been so ruthless. Not planning to let Li Jin go, Xia Wan continued, Grandma, didn't you say before that if someone stole your money, you had to make the other party pay 10 times the amount? Since it was Xia Yu who stole the money, then let his father, Xia He, pay for it. Grandma, you're the justest one around here. You won't go back on your word, right? Hearing Xia Wan's words, Li Jin stopped hitting Xia Yu and started to act shamelessly. Xia He's salary has all been handed to me. Unlike your family, however, you kept your own. Xia He doesn't have any money to give me. Xia Wan sneered. Li Jin had been cruel enough to her family. However, once it came to Xia Yu's family, they would immediately be partial to them. Xia He and Xia Yi were relieved. It was a good thing that Li Jin was on their side. They had originally wanted Li Jin to punish Xia Wan's family, but now, it was their family who had stolen the money. This was simply ridiculous. Xia Wan stared coldly at Xia Yu's friends.